ගරු කතානායකතුමනි, මම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා මේ අවස්ථාව විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යාංශයේ වැශීෂය අද සාකච්ඡා කරන්න පුළුවන් වීම ගැන. මගේ මිත්‍ර ගරු විපක්ෂ සංවිධායකතුමා උත්සාහයක් දැරුවා විවිධ කරුණු සුළඟේ අවලා ඒවායෙන් පිළිතුරු ලැබෙයි කියන මිත්‍යාව පස්සේ යන්න. විදේශ ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් රටක ජාත්‍යන්තර ලෝකයේ රටවල් සියල්ල සමග ගණදෙනු කිරීම, කටයුතු කිරීම වාගේම අපේ රටේ ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය පිළිබඳ ඇති කරන විශ්වාසයයි. ඒ වගේම අපේ රටේ අනාගත සංවර්ධනයට අවශ්‍ය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග සිද්ධාන්තගත ප්‍රතිපත්තියයි. අතිගරු ජනාධිපති ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගේ විශිෂ්ට ජයග්‍රහණයේ ජනවරමෙන් කලින් තිබුණු ආණ්ඩුව රටට කරපු හානිය වළක්වා ගැනීමේ ජනවරම ප්‍රකාශ කළව අවුරුද්දයි. ඉතින් කතානායකතුමනි, අපි මොකක් හරි එකක එල්ලෙන්නට දඟලනවා. ගිය ආණ්ඩුව ගෙදර යා යුතුමයි. ආණ්ඩුවක් නෙමෙයි, විහිළුවක්. එය පවතින තනතුරු වලට පවතින කරන ලද තාවකාලික ක්‍රියාදාමයක් බව පැහැදිලි වෙනවා. මොකද විපක්ෂයේ සංවිධායකතුමාගේ කතාව ආරම්භ කරෙන්නේ මේ කතාවෙන්. ඉතින් මම කනගාටුවේ ගැන කාලේ ගත කරන්න වීම Geneva co-sponsored resolution where Sri Lanka's Ministry of Foreign Affairs voted with the co-sponsors against our own country. Never in the history a country has voted against oneself. මේ එක දෙක අපේ රට දිනාගත්ත හමුදාවල් සියල්ල පාවා දෙන්න අන්තර්ගත කරා. තුන්වැන්න අපේ රටේ ආණ්ඩු ක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව උල්ලංඝනය කිරීමට කටයුතු කරන්න එකඟ වුණා. ජනාධිපතිතුමා දන්නේ නැහැ, පාර්ලිමේන්තුව දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ පිළිබඳ අවසරයක් හරියට නොගෙන ගොස් එහි මූලික ගිවිසුම අත්සන් කරා. දැන් අපිට කතා කරනවා අපි ත්‍රස්තවාදය පරාජය කරලා මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා අපේ රට විජයග්‍රහණය කරාම එක්සත් ජාතීන්ගේ මහලේකම්තුමා ආවා, සාකච්ඡා කරා. එතුමා ගිවිසුමක් අත්සන් කළා. එතුමාත් එක්ක ගිවිසුමක් අත්සන් කළා නෑ. ඒක අබද ප්‍රකාශයක් පමණයි, ප්‍රවෘත්ති ප්‍රකාශයක් පමණයි නිකුත් කළා තිබෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා වැරදි විදියට තමුන්ගේ රටට විරුද්ධව කතා කරන්න එපා. අපි කරන ආර්ථික ප්‍රතිපත්ති ඕන තරම් විවේචනය කරන්න. මම ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා විරුද්ධ පක්ෂයෙන් අද විශේෂයෙන් අපේ ඊට විදේශ ඇමතුමා මෙතන ඉන්නවා. අපි විදේශ ජාත්‍යන්තරයේ සමග ගණදෙනු කරනකොට අනිත් ප්‍රධාන රටවල් විදේශ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය ගැන කටයුතු කරන දේශපාලන පාඩමේ අයන්න අපි මොනතරම් පක්ෂ අතර මතභේද තිබුණත් ගරු කතානායකතුමනි, ජාත්‍යන්තරව එක මතයක ඉඳලා කටයුතු කිරීම. ඒ අපේ මාතෘභූමිය යහපත සඳහා. එහෙම තමයි අපේ අසල්වැසි රටවල් කුමන විරෝධයන් ප්‍රතිවිරෝධයන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවල තිබුණත් කටයුතු කර තිබෙන්නේ. දැන් අපි ගත්ත පියවර ජනාධිපතිතුමාට දෙන ලද ජනවරම, එතුමා කිව්වා ඉන්දියාවේ වගේ මේක බෙදුවනම් හොඳයි කියලා නොඑක් කතන්දර කිව්වා. මම එකෙන් එක ඒවා කියන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද කවුරුත් දන්නවා ඉන්දියාව there were so many princely states that had to be brought together. And that is why it became a union. The basic principle of bringing all these states together became a union. United States of America. Federated, that's why it's a federal state. United States of America. මේ අයන්න ගැන මම යළි පාඩම් කියන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා යම් යම් බලතල ස්වාධීනත්වය ආරක්ෂා කර ගැනීම ඒ අය ඉන්දිරා ගාන්ධි මැතිණිය 70 දී තමයි සමහර මහරාජාලාවරුන් වල ප්‍රාන්තවලට දිමුණු බලතල පවරාගත්තේ. After 25 years, 30 years. මම ඒකට මගේ කාලය ගන්න මට ඊටාම සුළු කාලයක් තිබෙන නිසා මම ඊටාම කැමැති බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ වැඩම කළ අපේ දේශේ ඒ වැඩම කිරීමෙන් පසු ඇතිවුණු ශිෂ්ටාචාරයේ බලපෑම මිනිස් සමාජය දැවැන්ත වෙනසකට හා අපේ රටේ සංවර්ධනයට මඟ පෙන්නුවා. මම කාලය ගැනීම කෙටි කිරීම සඳහා මගේ කතාව ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂෙන් කියවනවා. 1 year ago, last November, the people of Sri Lanka, Asia's oldest democracy, resoundingly expressed their mandate for an online, friendly foreign policy of Kalyana Mitra, which is stated in the vistas of prosperity and splendor presented by His Excellency the President, where he got a sounding mandate from the people. As given by His Excellency, vistas of prosperity and splendor, and his vision to achieve the fourfold outcome of a productive citizenry, a contented family, a disciplined and just society, and a prosperous nation. Our commitment to safeguard the mandate of the people and their vision of unitary state of Sri Lanka that enjoys sovereignty, independence, security, territorial integrity and human rights, democracy and prosperity remains unwavered. It was on this basis that as Foreign Minister representing Sri Lanka, I spoke before the United Nations at Geneva Human Rights Commission this February, Honourable Speaker, and withdrew Sri Lanka's from the co-sponsorship of the Resolution 3011 and thereafter, which had cast upon Sri Lanka an obligation to infringe the sovereignty of the people, violation of the Constitution and the democratic principles of governance, and compel Sri Lanka to turn its back on the very heroes who delivered us from the 30 years of turmoil and strife. I would like to read the small section on which Sri Lanka's government's decision, presided by the President of the Cabinet of Ministers, presented to Parliament prior to leaving for Geneva, where we followed the procedure of democratic governance. Not like the co-sponsorship where no one knew. Even His Excellency President at that time, Maithripala Sirisena, has stated that he was not aware of the final text of the document. And I do not want to go into the details thereafter, the bickering and fighting that took place between the Prime Minister's office and the President's office. It is very clear. මේ වහගෙන ජාතිය පාවා දුන්නු මහා කනගාටුදායක පාවාදීමෙන් ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාගේ රජය අග්‍රාමාත්‍ය මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂගේ රජයට පුළුවන් වුණා ගිය පෙබරවාරි මාසයේ අපි මේ co-sponsored resolution ඉවත් වෙන්න. What I would like to quote is, notwithstanding the withdrawing from the co-sponsorship of this resolution, Sri Lanka remains committed to achieving the goals set by the people of Sri Lanka on accountability and human rights towards sustainable peace and reconciliation. To this end, A, the government of Sri Lanka declares the commitment to achieve sustainable peace through an inclusive, domestically designed and executed reconciliation and accountability process, including through the appropriate adoption of an existing mechanism in line with the government's policy framework. This would comprise appointment of a commission of inquiry headed by a justice of the Supreme Court in review of the reports previous Sri Lanka commissions of inquiry which investigated alleged violations of human rights and international laws, to assess the status of implementation of their recommendations and to propose deliverable measures to implement them in keeping in line with the new government's policy. Now the UN Human Rights Commission very clearly knows our stand, our position, and what we are doing. And we are in the process of setting up that commission. B, the government will address other outstanding concerns and introduce institutional reforms where necessary in a manner consistent with Sri Lanka's commitment, including the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, which we have explained, which I would like to be included in the Hansard. C, Sri Lanka will continue to remain engaged with and seek, as required, the assistance of the UN and its agencies, including the regular human rights mandates, bodies, mechanism in capacity building and technical assistance, in keeping with the domestic priorities and policies. D, in conjunction with the members of the UN, Sri Lanka will seek to work towards the closure of the resolution. ඉතින් මේක තියාගන්න ඕනි කියලා කතා කරන එක මං හිතන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී මේ විපක්ෂතාව ඉදිරියේ දියුරුඳු තිබෙන කිසිවෙකුගේ යුතුයකම හෝ ප්‍රකාශය විය යුතුයි කියලා. ඒ වගකීමෙන් ගැඹුරින් අපේ මාතෘ භූමිය හා ජනතාව ගැන කටයුතු කරනු ඇතයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා අපේ ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමාගෙන්. Finally, we call upon all stakeholders within the and outside this August body to cooperate with Sri Lanka in this endeavour. ගරු කතානායකතුමනි, අපේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ පාලන තන්ත්‍රය යටතේ උතුරේ පේදුරු තුඩුවේ සිට දෙවුන්දර තුඩුව සඳහා සියලු දෙනාට කොවිඩ් අර්බුදය සිදු වෙච්ච වෙලාව එක ලෙසමයි සලකා තිබෙන්නේ. කාටවත් වැඩියෙන් ආවල් ප්‍රදේශයට වැඩියෙන් කියලා කිසිවක් ලබා දීලා නැහැ. ගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා ආරම්භ කර තිබෙන මේ කොවිඩ් 19 තුළ අමාරු ආර්ථික හා ජාත්‍යන්තර තත්ත්වය තුළ ඇති කර තිබෙන යම් යම් සංවර්ධන කටයුතු අකණ්ඩව රට පුරා එක ලෙස සලකා ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙමින් පවතිනවා. මම මේ විශේෂයෙන් සඳහන් කරේ කලාපීයව ප්‍රාදේශිකව අපි බෙදීම් ඇති කරපු කටයුතු කරන ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයකට අවතීර්ණ වෙලා නැහැ. ඒ වගේම මම ඊටම ගෞරවයෙන් කියනවා ජනාධිපතිතුමාට අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමා අපේ රටේ විශිෂ්ටතම ගෞරවය දිනාගත් උතුරු කරේ දියණියක් අපේ රාජ සේවයේ ගෞරවය දිනාගත් චාල්ස් මහත්මිය has been appointed as the governor of the northern province. President has kept full confidence in Mrs. Charles to be appointed. ඉතින් අපිට අර එදා වගේ බොරුවට ඇවිල්ලා චෝදනා කරන්න එපා. ජනාධිපතිතුමා අලුත් ආරම්භයක් ඒ විශිෂ්ට ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයට යෙදිලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මම ඉතුරු කොටස යලිත් කියන්නට කැමතියි. මට පුදුම වෙනවා ගරු කතානායකතුමනි, මේ කතාවේදී මම Human Rights Commission එක ඉදිරියේ ගෙනීවා. I quoted from Right Honourable Lord Nesby's statement on the confidential papers of the British government which are available today, and where all these numbers had been refuted by him, factual evidence by British authorities. And we keep on trying to say that our forces have committed this unprecedented, unsubstantiated figures that are being floated against our country. That we have rejected that. This is a book, Katanayakatumani, Lord Nesby, that who has come up with all the papers. Sri Lanka, Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained. Mama Belwa, මේ ජාතික පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මේ පුස්තකාලේ මේ පොත තියෙනවාද කියලා. මේ පොත නැහැ. ජාතික පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ මන්ත්‍රීතුමාලට මේ රටට කළ අපරාධය පිළිබඳ බොරුව එංගලන්තේ නෙස්බි සාමීවරයා එළිදරව් කරන සත්‍ය පිළිබඳ පොතවත් පුස්තකාලයට ගෙනෙන්න අවධානයක් යොමු වෙලා නැහැ. මේ නිසා අපි අපේ ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමාලා විවිධ කතන්දර කියන එක ගැන පුදුම වෙන්න ඕනෙත් නැහැ. මම මේක කිව්වේ මේක වහාම ගුවන්තපෑලෙන් ලංකාවේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගෙන්වීම ඉතාම වැදගත්. මොකද අපි මෙවැනි තොරතුරු ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරපු කාලේ ඉවරයි. දැන් සත්‍ය එළිදලා වෙමින් තියෙනවා. Under right to information, Lord Nesby has gone into these details. What the British information channels have transferred to London to the Home Office is available. ඒ නිසා ජිනීවායේ බොරුව පතරංගන ගැන ඔබ පසුගිය ආණ්ඩුව හිටපු ආණ්ඩුව ගෙනාපු මේ යෝජනාව පදනම් විරහිතව ගෙනාපු යෝජනාවක්. දෙක, a country specific resolution is never brought before Geneva. ඒකවත් කියාගන්න මේ තිබුණු ආණ්ඩුවට බැරි වුණා. To reject on country specific resolution being moved. නැහැ. ඉතින් මම මේට වඩා ඒ ගැන කියන්නේ මට වඩා මේ පිළිබඳ ජේෂ්ඨායද කතා කරනවා. මම කතාව ඉතුරු ටික කියලා අවසන් කරනවා. Sri Lanka shall continue to work with and cooperate with the United Nations, but only through the avenues empowered by the mandate given to this just and fair democratically elected government, and such that may uphold its fidelity to the people's desire to see a sovereign Sri Lanka, which enshrines democratic values and human rights. Sri Lanka's commitment we keep with the mandate of the people of a sovereign and secure Sri Lanka is instrumental in our commitment to the world as a Kalyana Mitra foreign policy. It is through an underlined and friendly foreign policy of Kalyana Mitra that we have pursued the fight against terrorism through the cooperation with nations across the world. The big nations as well as smaller nations have all supported Sri Lanka. For that we are grateful to so many countries for their continued proscription of the LTTE, whose commitment to violence has not wavered since the end of the war. Therefore, even last week India renewed its proscription of the LTTE. Through His Excellency's vistas of prosperity and splendor, Sri Lanka has been strengthening friendships with nations across the world. Beginning in November last year, with His Excellency President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's first ever visit, high-level visit abroad being to India, closely followed by the Prime Minister and then the Foreign Minister. Such a reflection of our drive to continue our close relationship with our neighbours and members of IORA, BIMSTEC and SAARC. Honourable Foreign Minister and the delegation at the annual informal meeting of the SAARC Council of Ministers participated on the 24th of September. Our relations with the key partners have deepened. For this year, we have witnessed a series of high-level visits, ranging from His Excellency Sergei Lavrov, the Foreign Minister of Russia, and the Foreign Minister of India whom we met, and the Foreign Minister of China, who came, visited Sri Lanka. Japanese Foreign Minister, Pakistan, Maldives, Luxembourg, and finally, of the list, among others, finally the United States Secretary of State, who visited us 3 weeks ago. Further to that, dialogue with the nations from all around the world has seen with discussions being held often with officials up and down the spectrum, such as the Honourable Dominic Raab and Lord Tak Arik of the United Kingdom, via virtual as well as telecommunication, and many other countries. So the embassies are not closed as stated. Embassies are functioning. We are using available new channels of communication. Even in the Middle East, our embassies are not closed. Embassies are functioning. Our relations with such nations, including the United Kingdom, have been positive.
They brought 40,000 people back.
Impressive and issues that arise of the freedoms protected in our democracies. But I am glad that Sri Lanka and all its Many friendly nations abroad are deeply committed to ending the wanton violence endemic to terrorism in such lasting peace to all our countries that continue to proscribe the LTTE. This year, having spoken at the 29th commemoration of Vesak, the most sacred day in the Buddhist calendar, with the United Nations General Assembly resolution, unanimously declared as the observant day the efforts of the late Honorable Kadri Khanna. Further to that, we continue to interact and hold special discussions with ambassadors, Honorable Consuls stationed of all nations in Colombo, constantly pushing conducted digitally and establishment of embassies, and the 2 new embassies that we plan in this year in Spain and Romania. Sri Lanka's foreign policy of Kalyan Mitra, deeply rooted in our history as one of the founding members of the non-aligned movement, whose 65th anniversary we commemorated last month, has continued to play a significant role in multilateral deliberations at the UN, particularly representing the interests of the Global South. The Bandung Conference and successive developments united our countries to end colonialism, opposing foreign intervention, aggression, foreign occupation, domination, and to respect sovereignty and territorial integrity while recognizing the equality of all nations, both large and small. Honourable Speaker, our commitment to our fellow non-aligned nations remains strong, and so too is our commitment to the sovereignty of our friends, and through our call for the end of the economic blockade of Cuba, where your government did not have a policy, you all were wavering, avoiding when the vote came. We have restored our position in relation to Iran, in relation to Venezuela and others, in line with Sri Lanka's continued advocacy for the Global South. We have continually raised the issue of the damages of impending and irreversible global climate change and its impact on the economic system.
Of Palestine.
And with the Palestine cause, we have continuously raised the issue, and we continue our obligation and commitment to the Palestinian people. I do not want to recall how the last government behaved. Having chaired the 13th meeting of the parties to the Montreal Protocol, which saw the signing of the Colombo Declaration, I shall highlight later today at the 3rd ministerial meeting of the Small Islands Forum. President raised it as a priority in the National Development Policy Plan during his inaugural speech by the President and at my virtual address at the 44th annual meeting of the ministers of the G77. The imperative that we concertedly seek to address the issue of climate change and fintech green economy to mobilize their collective efforts to secure an environment protection. His Excellency the President, the Honourable Prime Minister, and I raised during the 75th anniversary of the UN, His Excellency's vistas of prosperity and splendor, reaffirmed our commitment to achieving all the 18 SDG goals by 2030, which is reflected in the appointment of a working group to study the current state of Sri Lanka's implementation and progress towards achieving the SDGs. The issues of the environmental protection and poverty are extremely interlinked. Though we have made great strides in our fight against poverty, this government remains dedicated to the eradication in all its forms. Sri Lanka's Presidential Task Force, in charge of economic revival and poverty eradication, operates with the objective of creating a production economy, promoting local industry. The government has granted financial relief to over 6 million families and vulnerable groups and established a COVID-19 healthcare social security fund. As the world progresses towards a sustainable therapeutic solution to the COVID-19, Sri Lanka has tirelessly canvassed that all countries have unrestricted access to vital medical resources required to respond to this virus, and that political motives do not impede such access that would undermine the world's collective commitment to the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal. Sri Lanka government once again would like to thank all the countries who has been helping Sri Lanka in the COVID-19 challenges that we have been attempting to manage. Also, I would like to mention the UK-Sri Lanka Oxford COVID vaccine collaboration. In this context, I recall His Excellency President Gotabaya Rajapaksa called to the international community at the Financing for Development Conference for debt relief and to adopt fiscal policies to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. My good friend, Dr. Harsh De Silva mentioned, what are we doing about our debt? It was His Excellency the President who was one of the initial leaders of a nation to raise this issue for debt relief, not only for Sri Lanka, but for most of the countries. As the world reels from the global pandemic awaiting a vaccine, we work to carry out His Excellency President's coordinated efforts to fight the COVID-19 pandemic and to address the immediate concerns of stranded Sri Lankans by organizing and facilitating repatriation of stranded Sri Lankans via government-organized repatriation flights and charter flights with the collaboration of 67 overseas missions, post and presidential task force, such as the repatriation of Sri Lankan students initially from Wuhan, China. As last week, the government of Sri Lanka has repatriated 46,250 Sri Lankan from 126 countries and territories by the end of last week. To assist such operations, Foreign Ministry has launched online portal to assist Sri Lankan community overseas, in which now sees 64,107 registered. Yet the Foreign Ministry has further ambitions. As the Honourable Prime Minister stated last week, stride towards coordination with the overseas Sri Lankan through a creation of a special office dedicated to the international Sri Lankan community. Such an office will be able to capitalize, further enhance the economic breakthrough made in the last years, such as access secured to the lucrative Latin American market. The largest country in Latin America has relaxed Sri Lanka's cinnamon exports into Brazil and shall network, no, I say Brazil. That is the latest that we have achieved. Sri Lankan communities where new outreach previously was not present, such as the skilled labor personnel in Eastern Europe, Middle East, and South Asia. ගරු කතානායකතුමනි, ඒ නිසා මම තවත් වැදගත් දෙයක් කියන්න කැමති අනාගත ලංකාව වෙනුවෙන් අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා ග්‍රාමතුමා දරා තිබෙන මේ once such breakthrough can happen in the National Oceanic Affairs Committee submissions under the Law of Sea Convention to the UN for an extended seabed area with high potential for petroleum and other marine resources, which has reached an advanced stage by the professionals of the relevant subject. 9 rounds of negotiations have been successfully completed, and the last meeting with the UN subcommission was held in 2020, February. Hopefully, negotiations could be concluded with 2 more meetings. This boon and the equitable allocation of resources stemming from the breakthrough shall follow for all Sri Lankan people and make us richer in the opening a new door in our development in the petroleum sector. ගරු කතානායකතුමනි, I have also come to Parliament before dissolution and withdrawing the counter-terrorism bill that was brought before Parliament forcibly, one of the draconian legislations that the last government brought. Luckily, all of us went before the committee. It was chaired by Honorable Mahanta Desanayake, who himself in the chair accepted most of the submissions made that this would be a draconian law. We have very much interested in trying, the Honorable Speaker also, I think, participate in one or two sessions of that committee. We have withdrawn that. But we are considering amending some sections of the PTA, and we have started discussions on the subject. ඉතින් අපි ශ්‍රී ලංකාව කුඩා දිවයිනක් ඉන්දියානු සාගරයේ අවුරුදු ගණන සතවර්ෂ ගණනාවක් එන්න නිසාම වැදගත් ගමන් මාර්ගයක පිහිටලා තිබෙන්නේ. ඒ ප්‍රයෝජනයට ප්‍රවේශමෙන් ගැනීමේ කර්තව්‍යයට අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කර තිබෙන මධ්‍යස්ථ නොමැදුණු විදේශ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය හා කල්යාණ මිත්‍රත්වයෙන් හැම රටක් සමගම කටයුතු කිරීමේ ප්‍රතිපත්තිය සිට අපි අනාගතය ජය ගැනීමට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සහයෝගය ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා. Before I conclude my speech, I would like to thank the Foreign Secretary, Professor Kolambage, Honorable State Minister Tharaka Balasuriya, who would follow in the evening, our Foreign Ministry officials, ambassadors, and the Honorable Consul General and diplomats of all nations and organizations in Sri Lanka for their tireless contribution to upholding the people's desire to free Sri Lanka in accordance and a prosperous friendship